Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy. Well, we seem to not be over winter, hey? It's kind of cold and snowy out there this morning. Good morning, Hartwell.
Good morning, Kris. Good morning, everyone.
This morning, our topic was on the sacral center. So, can you please remind us of the function of the sacral center?
Well, the sacral center is pretty key. It's the most powerful motor in the design, and 67% of the world have it defined. 67, therefore, people. 67%
Wow.
of people, therefore, are generators. The largest proportion by type of all the types. So it is it is a center of the life force, a center of reproductive capacity, the ability to work and create and do things and procreate. So yeah, it's pretty key.
So, how does it work, the sacral center?
It works by supplying us with the energy that we need to live our lives in response. So when the wisdom of your body responds to things by saying yes in a way, then it says, I have energy available for this. I want to give my energy to this. This would light me up. So with a generator and response, there is this sense of life coming to you because you are just a big ball. You are just people, generators, sacred people.
Yeah, we just like to do
stuff. You're like a big ball of energy that's yummy, and life wants to play with you. Life wants to play with generators.
Well, we want to
play with you.
I want to play too.
Yeah, but the generator shouldn't just play with anybody. You got to know who to play with. And your generator, response, your own energetic response, where the energy rises up in you, and it says, "I want to play. I want to play with this." That's when those are the things you're supposed to play with. Don't play with things you don't want to play with. I'm playing with this metaphor today. I like it.
You were talking a little bit about that there's a built-in rest work cycle, as well as that it's both generative and degenerative. So what do you mean by degenerative?
Well, another metaphor I often use for the generator is like a furnace in a Canadian winter.
Perfect for today.
It's always available. I mean, it generates a lot of energy, but it's like it has enough energy for that which it wants to respond to. So it decides. Your sacral center itself decides, not your brain, not who you think of as Kris, not who you think of as whoever. Your sacral center decides. So today you wake up refreshed from a good night's sleep and you have energy. Yay! I think of video games too. Okay, I'm very metaphorical today. You got a certain amount of energy for this particular level, And if you're living in response, then you have all the energy that you need because your body wouldn't respond to what it doesn't have energy for. But if you force yourself to give energy to things that aren't in proper response, then you end up potentially burning yourself out because it has a degenerative effect on your body and on your life rather than a generative one.
Oh, so then you get exhausted and tired. You can have health issues, that kind of thing, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what, again, is the sacral response? Tell us more about that.
So, because of the big aura of a generator, life wants to play with you, right? So it comes to you. And so things will show up in your environment magnetized by aura. And these are things that you can respond to. All right. Things you can respond to or not. But it's not about you wanting. It's about what your sacral decides. So something shows up in your environment and you feel, somebody asks you maybe a yes or no question. Kris, do you want me to pick you up A&W? And
Right.
well, I mean, that's for me to do, I guess. If you're asking me to do, it's a bad example.
Yeah, because you're a projector.
Yes. So somebody invites you into things, and you say, and then your body immediately is going to have a response to that. And there's going to be a felt sense of rising up in your energy for the things that are a yes.
Mm-hmm. Get
And
really excited.
there's going to be an ambiguity, or there's going to be a no response feeling to something that isn't meant for you.
Something that you feel. What about, like, how does that work if you're feeling resistance to something, even though it is yours to do? Like, what's the difference between that? Or or am I going somewhere that has nothing to
You
do
might be
with
paying
it?
attention to a different aspect of your own design
Okay.
rather than your sacral.
Mm-hmm. So,
If you are really doing your best to listen to your sacral, your gut, the gut level of your body,
right.
and it's not giving you any energy for it, then it's going to be wrong for you to be doing it according to human design.
Ah. So is it really bad for us to ignore our sacral responses?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me put
Why?
it this way. How many people do you hear talk about, so and so, I lost all sorts of energy because, that person sort of sucked out my energy.
Mm-hmm.
The thought that came to me the other day is that maybe it's not the other person sucking out your energy. Maybe it's you not listening to your sacral, because your sacral sets boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Your sacral knows what it has energy for. Okay. So
Okay.
if you don't listen to your sacral and override it, then you're going to show up in the world as a person without boundaries.
Ah.
And so then you're going to blame your environment for your not listening to your sacral.
Yes.
They didn't suck your energy.
Mm-hmm.
You decided to give energy to something that you weren't supposed to, that your
Yeah, you
sacral
made a
response.
conscious choice. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so then you feel drained because you're doing things that you don't want to be doing.
So this this is probably a lot like when you talk about obligation, like people feeling obligated and they don't listen and they don't know when to say no to things. So that's the kind of thing that you're talking about. So a generator or somebody defined in the sacral would feel that. And then they would say yes, and then they would feel depleted from doing it.
There's lots of ways to feel pressured by other people, right? And we've
Mm-hmm.
spoken to that in our conversation around human design.
Mm-hmm.
You might be pressured by your not self mind giving you an ego message. You got to do this in order to feel a sense of self worth, or you
Mm-hmm.
got to do this in order to somehow satisfy what you think are the emotional demands of somebody else. It could be all
Mm-hmm.
sorts of things. But the upshot of it for you is that the thing that sets your boundaries is your willingness and ability to listen to your own design, in
Mm-hmm.
this case, the sacral center, and follow its mechanical response, which will take you in the direction of what's best for you. So
Mm-hmm.
the bit of a flash I had when I was preparing for this chat today is that I hear so many people talk about their boundaries not being respected.
Mm-hmm.
But who's not respecting the boundaries first? It's probably the person not living their design.
Well,
And
yeah.
it's probably not so often about an emotional issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not about somebody else doing something. It's more about us not doing something, as i.e. not following our own inner authority and our own strategy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, of course, because we all have the ability to say no, but we don't always do that. So that's the first thing that comes through is that it's a person's responsibility to say, no, I don't have the energy for this, and respect their own self-worth and their own being, right?
Yeah,
So,
and the first step in that would be the willingness to listen to your own organism, which God has created as perfect.
Exactly. Just the way we
So,
are.
so in answer to your question, is it bad not to follow it? Well, it's only bad if you don't want to have the consequences of being exhausted and degenerating and being out of alignment.
So the 9 gates of the sacral center, can you describe them?
Sure. So these are all themes that represent, each gate is an archetypal theme within the overall 64 themes of life.
Mm-hmm.
And the sacral gates represent ways that we are available to give energy to something. Mm-hmm. So with gate 34, which is called the gate of power, this is power, pure power for the sake of empowerment. That sounds redundant, but it's not. Mm-hmm. Power to be empowered. The capacity, the responsive capacity to respond to life in a way that empowers you. That's gate 34. It's probably the most purely selfish of the gates. Mm-hmm. Selfish in the sense of, this is for me. Not selfish as in, I have something against you, but this is for me. Gate 5, the gate of fixed rhythms, is the energy to act and repeat patterns that will ensure the continuity of flow. Mm-hmm. So if you pay attention to setting your own patterns, then that will help you have consistent flow and get consistent energy in your life for the things that matter. Cool. Gate 14, which is pointing up towards the G, like the 5, it's called the gate of power skills. And this is this releases energy to empower our direction in life. Mm-hmm. Because sitting within gate 2 is our direction in life that keeps us on purpose. So 14 is the energy in terms of money, resources, and energy itself to fuel our direction in life, our purpose.
Cool.
Gate 29, sometimes called the gate of saying yes or the gate of perseverance, is the energy to commit completely to an experiential stream for the possibility of truly discovering potential.
I thought what was interesting, I know you've talked to me about this gate before. So the gate of saying yes doesn't mean that you say yes to everything.
No. Yeah. God, no. God, no.
But also your the way that you're designed, if you're designed emotionally, that you have to stop and wait and don't say yes right away to things, that you sit with it, sleep on it overnight, that type of thing. So just because you have the gate of yes doesn't mean you go around going yes, 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 and doing everything.
Right. It's not the gate of intellectual yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's the gate of energetic response, the gate of saying yes in response. Mm-hmm. It's like, when somebody with gate 9 gives a yes to something, they're all in, man.
Oh, it's like when the spirit moves you, you're gone with it. You're just gone.
Yeah, it's going to take you on a journey. You're in for a wild ride. Mm-hmm. And that journey can take you all the way, because gate 29 is the potential to fuel an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Gate 59, the gate of sexuality, is the energy to bond and to mate, to connect with somebody, to break down the barriers, to break down the barriers between two humans and just have a wonderful experience that way.
So with those, this just struck me. So those people with that gate, would they be like, when they enter into a relationship, they would break down the person, or well, not the person, but the relationship, so that it feels like they're best friends. So when things happen to that relationship, that person misses that intimacy of being a best friend, even though the romantic part didn't work out. Would that be a gate that would be responsible for that?
Maybe.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of myself because every time I've had a relationship, that is the one thing all of them say to me after is, oh, I miss my best friend. They all considered me to be their best friend. Now, I'm thinking that it has something to do with this gate.
Maybe you could look at your own design and see if it's, figuring in an important way somehow.
Yeah.
Or look at their designs too. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So gate 9.
Gate 9 is the gate of focus. It's concentrated energy to establish a pattern. So, people with that have that energy to go deep into things and to really focus their energy on the details that, go deep into the pattern that exists behind things, behind the manifestation of the world.
I hope you guys are all grabbing your charts and looking at these different gates so that you can kind of relate to some of them. If you're a generator or if you're not a generator, you can see people in your life that are a generator, how these relate to them. So this is a good thing.
The next gate, which is called gate 3, the gate of ordering, it brings order to the mutative pulse that comes from gate 60. So it takes this pulse of energy that is potentially mutational and brings order to it. So it's the energy to establish order. Gate 42 is the gate of growth, and it's the energy to bring a cycle to a close. So it's about it's the energy to wrap things up, the energy to kind of wrap them up and tie it off with a bow, kind of thing. And gate 27, the gate of caring, is the energy to nourish and protect our tribe for the sake of its physical survival. So those are the 9 gates of the sacral center.
That's interesting. So if somebody was like, I just had somebody go, got it now, but a manifester, they can still have a gate in the sacral center.
If you have an undefined sacral, you're one of the other 3 types.
Right.
And so you are very sensitive to the energy of the generators of the world. So certainly you will feel and experience certain aspects of your any gates that you have defined, even in an undefined center.
Right. So they can still have these gates defined within an undefined center.
Sure they can. But not being a generator, it doesn't work quite the same way for them. This is something, these are potentials, dormant potentials that come into some sort of expression only when in connection with other people, sacredly defined people. Right.
Well, this is certainly an interesting subject, and I know we could go on forever, but it's just meant to dip our toes in. So it was a really interesting topic, and thank you so much for sharing your insight, Hartwell, today. Next Wednesday at 9, we'll be discussing what center?
Well, we'll go to the ego next because we've been doing a survey of the motors. So we did the emotional, which part of the awareness, it was an awareness center and a motor. So we did that with the motors, and then we did the root, sacral, now the ego next time.
Yeah. So those of you that want to explore the ego center next time, pull out your charts, and we'll be talking about that next week. So with that, we'll say goodbye and good luck. God bless, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Ciao.